Okay. We have to go into this daggone flick. Nobody wanted to see it. How dare? No, I'm kidding. Thor Ragnarok, the latest movie put out by Marvel Studios. The continuing story of not just the character of Thor, but also the character of Loki and the Hulk, who we haven't seen or gotten really any information on since the Avengers, Age of Ultron. So this kind of ties together three different stories that we've kind of been anxious about. And man, I enjoyed the heck out of this.
Yeah.
It's been a long time since I've been so jazzed about a Marvel movie. The rest have just been, okay, so let's get this out of the way so I can continue the story. This was, it got a lot of positive pre-press, and I was really anxious to see where they would take the story. And the fact that this one was touted to be a comedy and in turn was a comedy. It was more lighthearted than the previous ones have been. This one kind of blew my mind. How about you?
This one kind of, they discovered, like, wow, this guy's really funny. Let's use that. And they should have been doing that all along. Because I thought Thor, the franchise, was probably my least favorite of all the Marvel ones.
Hey, you mentioned that. I was surprised.
Yeah. I mean, it just, the first two really didn't do it for me. I think the first one was okay. Like I said, it was kind of more man out of time, out of place, trying to figure it out, which is kind of fun in a Crocodile Dundee type of way.
But I usually don't like those. What really got me there was everything that should be really goofy in the design was taken fairly seriously. Like things like the Rainbow Bridge, they made a logical reason why we would have a bridge that might appear as a rainbow.
Yeah,
the whole thing was like one big prism.
That's the first two for sure. They were just way too serious, and then they kind of loosened the reins and let him kind of improvise a little bit more. And like, he's a funny guy.
Chris Hemsworth?
So I thought this is the right direction they're taking it in, and it's definitely the one I enjoyed the most. I definitely like where they're taking it. So
I concur. This one I thought was just a smash hit. I'll give you the rundown real quick. Imprisoned on the other side of the universe, the mighty Thor finds himself in a deadly gladiatorial contest that pits him against the Hulk, his former ally and fellow Avenger. Thor's quest for survival leads him in a race against time to prevent an all-powerful Hela. Hela being played by Cate Blanchett. Hela's a new character introduced, and she's Thor's sister, Thor and Loki's sister. Not illegitimate, but estranged. Hela from destroying his home world and the Asgardian civilization. And the story itself kind of ham-fists a lot of story elements that were necessary for the tale, but were really half-assed in the presentation. So I'm glad that the core story was Hela is a evil presence that need to be stopped. Everything else is just kind of like the means to that end.
Right.
And they bring up a lot of times they need to prevent Ragnarok. Ragnarok is this whole big thing that's gonna be great. Ragnarok is a red herring, and that got me like right away. Like I was, because my whole thing was, it's Ragnarok. They're gonna prevent Ragnarok. There's been comics about Ragnarok. Ragnarok's gonna be a thing. As far as I know, Ragnarok is that and that like B tier ship from Final Fantasy VII. You know, so.
Isn't there a Battletoads that took place in Ragnarok too?
I don't doubt it.
Yeah.
They made a big deal out of this whole thing, and I was like, okay, this is gonna be corny, one big pointless event that I've seen 100 times. And the way they presented it and then utilized that particular event was clever. I thought it was very refreshing to see a different take on it, and I like the fact that it was placed strategically within this story. That was one of the big things that got me. Besides that, Chris Hemsworth, I think, really came out of his shell in this one. He wasn't just playing a dumb, kind of confused, slab of muscle.
Yeah.
He didn't.
And you're partnering him with the Hulk, which I thought they buddied up well together.
Yeah, totally.
And I think throwing them together in their own movie was the right idea. And plus, when you throw Jeff Goldblum in anything, it's brilliant casting. So I thought that was fantastic.
Well, Marvel finds a way.
Yeah.
Thank you.
What I really like is, you add Jeff Goldblum to anything, you immediately improve.
You gotta do the laugh. You gotta do the Goldblum laugh.
Yeah, I can't do it, but
you can't do the Goldblum laugh.
No.
Oh, okay. Just think Ian Malcolm.
Was he bare chested at any moment?
He was not.
Aww.
To be fair, though, Jurassic Park was 20 plus years ago, so some things have started to sag, undoubtedly. Even it's been a long time since he was Scott Woolley on Will and Grace. So I mean, let the old man be old. He's still very amusing. In this movie, I saw it with Mix Macabre, correspondent who actually couldn't make it on the show today, but I will use their words. Jeff Goldblum is a treasure.
He is.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Very amusing part of this film. He played the Grandmaster.
Grandmaster, yeah.
Who's the brother of the Collector, who we saw at the in parts of Guardians of the Galaxy.
Benicio del Toro's character, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if they're going to bring the two of them together because some really good Marvel stories have come from the two of them, gambling with each other. And it's the Collector versus the Grandmaster, and they bring like X-Men and Avengers characters, and Spider-Man, and all these characters into arenas to fight each other, to play out their own like sinister obstacle courses, kind of like Arcade, the Marvel Villain Arcade on a grand scale.
Well, it's kind of like, the old Roman Empire where they're just throwing all these random animals in to fight each other. It's kind of like doing that with humans and other beasts and things like that.
Including the fight scene between the Hulk and Thor in this movie, which a lot of the trailer featured this fight, and it's 1/100th of the overall picture.
Right.
This was a long movie, but they did show a good amount of that fight, but that is nowhere near the the big event of this film, which I like because I was afraid that was going to be like one of the big things. Oh, who's finally going to make it out?
Right away,
also, I love that it was just like a 1 minute thing. They actually did have them have it out, and it didn't take too much time, but it took just enough time so we could actually see a fight.
Yeah.
It wasn't just a plot device kind of throwing them in. And when they showed the Grandmaster's Arena, we caught a lot of Easter eggs from the Marvel Universe that you will know, identify, and have those moments if you did pick up on them. If you didn't, then it's just, that looks really cool. Oh, that guy's really that I'm amazed by that. I'm impressed by that. That seems awesome. Why is that shiny? Stuff like that. I like that. As a comic fan, I appreciate that because it shows somebody was paying attention beyond just Marvel wants to make a movie and earn another, a quick buck.
Yeah, I think they were paying attention in general. I think they knew Thor was kind of like one of the lesser franchises in a way, in terms of being a little bit boring, a little bit too stiff.
Yeah, and not for lack of trying. They've done tons of stuff over the years, which was kind of reflected in this picture.
Yeah.
The different costumes, the helmet change.
Yep. The hair, he cut his hair and all that.
The worthy, unworthy, the destruction of Mjolnir.
But
these aren't spoilers. This is all stuff in the trailers.
They definitely have been paying attention, though. And like I said, when you cast Goldblum, you improve anything. And I think one thing that Marvel succeeded at, if I can point to one thing that they're doing better than DC, which is there's 1,000 things they're doing better, but it's definitely the casting. And they've casted so perfectly in so many roles where, you look at DC and you're like, that guy really? You just don't think it. They just seem to find the perfect person for each role. And I think that's what's carrying these movies in a lot of ways. Like, they find the guy that can legitimately carry each story, you know what I mean, and make them interesting. So I think this is definitely the best one so far, and I'm actually now, and not in casting, but just in this film holds up better than the first two.
Yes.
So I'm for the first time I'm excited about a Thor character, and I'm really looking forward to what they're going to do next.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. I really have to applaud Cate Blanchett, who is new to the Marvel Universe, and she blended in this with it's like she's been there the whole time.
Yeah, she's pretty lovely too.
Who the hell's Hela? I'm Hela. Crush this, kill that, break this, take over this. It was perfect. And Anthony Hopkins is my only real beef with this. I feel like he phoned it in.
Yeah, he's been phoning it in for a long time. He was in the last Transformers movie too. I'm like, what is Anthony Hopkins doing?
You know what's unfortunate? I blame that on the writing, but after seeing this, I think it's mostly just he knows he's Anthony Hopkins. They're gonna pay me my money whether or not I do a great job.
Yeah.
So unlike Meryl Streep, it's just like, no, I'm just gonna. I was here for a couple days. Pay me. I'm going.
He's
I'm
more
going
into intense character studies type of an actor. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, but this is kind of like character study. It's this deep, dark story of one prince's battle with being unworthy of stepping into his father's shoes.
But he also doesn't have enough screen time to really get it either. So I think he's just kind of trying to chew the fat while he's there, and then.
Okay, so fault maybe had on both sides of what you're saying.
Probably, yeah.
Okay, I can kind of see that.
Or maybe they cut him out. He was doing such a bad job that they cut more sequences out.
I don't know.
I didn't consider it from that point. Yeah, that would make sense.
Sorry,
Well,
Anthony Hopkins, you're doing a poor job. I don't think there's anything ever said.
how did you
to
ever
him
get cast in roles?
Yeah, they're like focus testing it, and all of a sudden they're like, these scenes here with Anthony Hopkins, it's dull
I just
compared to
don't-
everything else.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
just
that's
don't think so.
unfortunate because this movie had a lot of momentum, which I'm surprised it didn't lose. It starts off with Thor in a funny scene, and then he goes back to Asgard. You think now it's going to be a lot of plot development. Nope, it jumps right into action with him and Loki. Loki having a larger presence in this film, having the biggest presence he's had since maybe the first Avengers movie.
Yeah.
Which is good. I'm glad Tom Hiddleston has a lot to do in this movie. I really like him and his portrayal of Loki. I'm glad
he's definitely a fan
he's
favorite for sure.
Mm-hmm,
Yeah.
absolutely. We're introduced to a few new characters too, including Valkyrie, which is a character that had a larger role in the books. So they were kind of, I won't say a side character, but they're supporting when they should probably be one of the forefront characters.
Yeah,
which isn't a bad thing.
Featured more, sure.
Yeah, it's not a bad thing. It's just they're introducing the character now, played by Tessa Thompson. But I would have liked to have seen a little more. And I mean, you do see a lot, but with all the action going on in this movie, there was just so much happening at once. I was hoping that each one would get like their own little vignette portion.
A little bit more Idris Elba would always been good too.
Well, they gave Idris Elba a certain amount. To be honest, his character in this Heimdall he's the doorman, and you don't really expect much more than him. He had a real cool scene in the first movie, and then nothing else.
He was frozen pretty much the whole time. Then all of a sudden he's like, I'm unfrozen.
Well,
how are you gonna have Idris Elba then freeze him? Yeah.
No one's been frozen that sincerely since Sub-Zero.
I'll give him that. Yeah.
Yeah. They did just kind of make it seem like we have Idris Elba. We want to make sure you see him. But they didn't write much for the character. So I'm glad we at least got to have him in this, hopefully.
But that's just a wealth of riches, when you think of Marvel. It's like, wow, we have a guy that we freeze, and he's played by Idris Elba.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just like, how spoiled are you?
Jeez, dude. Let's get Oscar winner Tom Cruise to play Shoeshine Boy number 3.
Right. He's on screen for 30 seconds.
Yeah, the unsung Marvel character, the living speed bump.
Yep.
Yeah. But no, let me call out the cast real quick. We mentioned Chris Hemsworth. We mentioned Cate Blanchett, Tom Hiddleston, Tessa Thompson. Korg is another character played by Taika Waititi. And I didn't name the man.
Right.
He did a good job. It was funny. It was a funny role. I thought that was a couple other people though, so I'm actually kind of surprised. But they played this for laughs, and it wasn't just like you see Loki doing zany things, you see Thor doing zany things. You see characters that are less serious, but still as prevalent in the tale. They're not hokey. This isn't Jerry Lewis coming in to stumble over stuff. This was written cleverly. That's the main thing I took away from this. I was very surprised by a very few beefs. It was a funny Stan Lee cameo too. I won't give that away. But it's a really brief role that mattered in the longevity of the story.
Mm-hmm.
And, dude, there's a lot of Easter eggs I wish I could get into. Most of them would be spoilers. There are characters that you wouldn't expect to see that you do see. There are homages to characters that you see that aren't in the picture, but if they were, it would have. I may have wet myself with joy. It would have been too much. This I think is my favorite. Well, it's my favorite of the Thor movies, easily.
Right? Yeah.
But I think this holds in this. This may be one of my top 3 in the Marvel movies.
Yeah.
Yeah. This was very enjoyable. I walked in ready to see an okay movie. I walked out like this is an absolute thumbs up. It was just so damn enjoyable. I walked out smiling. I want to see it again.
Yeah,
it was just too damn fun.
That's definitely the Thor movie I've been waiting for.
Yep, absolutely. They integrated Jeff Goldblum's character. I'll say pretty spot on, because it seems like he would be really forcing their kind of ham-fisted attempt at getting in someone new for comedic effect, but it carried the story forward in a way that was, I don't know what else to say. It just worked.
Yeah.
It's
like they all of a sudden realized, like I said, they're all like, wow, this guy's really funny. Let's use that. You know what I mean? We've been wasting him.
Yeah.
Trying to be too serious, too self-serious, a little stiff, like I said. And then we're like, wow, just give him a little bit, loosen the reins a little bit, let him improvise a little, and it definitely paid off. And I'm glad I hope they continue to do that and let him, have a little bit more free reign to be funny and to be him. To bring something else to this character, because I think that's what it needed. And
I'm hoping they team up with the Collector. Because the two of them, I think, would be solid. Goldblum on his own might be a little much. This
I would
movie
pay
diffused him just enough
to watch
so that
Benicio
he
del
was spectacular.
Toro and Jeff Goldblum
Just
do
the
an
two of
entire
them?
movie together. That would be the best buddy movie ever.
What would they
Since
do?
Tango and Cash.
I mean, Tango and Cash,
Since
really?
Tango and Cash. Probably
Oh,
the best.
gee. Okay, so look out for Goldblum and Del Toro in Turner and Hooch too. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I'm waiting to see how they integrate this with maybe Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. because they did that with the first Thor movie. The second movie alluded to it. This seems like the most relatable to Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., or at least the one that they've made interact the most with the TV show. So with the upcoming season, I'm kind of anxious to see how they'll do it because Thor with this picture has gone full cosmic now. Very little of, actually, I don't think any of this took place on Earth.
No.
They fleshed out the Hulk's character tremendously, which was great, but now you've got this new element to play with. So how are they going to make this tie into the other works, besides maybe Guardians of the Galaxy? I'm anxious to see it, and there was a Thanos presence, and also some of the Easter eggs definitely affected our perceptions of the previous Easter eggs. So, I mean, that's all I can say without
It's a little
spoiling,
convoluted, but it makes sense when you watch it a little.
Yes, absolutely. So, I mean, I got to give this one a thumbs up. It's Thor Ragnarok. It's playing in theaters now. I highly recommend it. Adam?
Yes. Everything you said, yes.
2 thumbs up all the way?
Just a good, stiff thumbs up.
Nice.
Sure.
Nice. All right, Thor Ragnarok earns our seal of approval. Check it out. And I want to thank DJ Herbert